anglers of the internet, welcome back to another advanced kayak angler episode. Thank you for joining us. Please, if you get anything out of this, share this with your friends. We got a great show tonight. We are going to talk. We do shows about companies every so often, and tonight we're going to talk about Boondox. And we got two really great guests to tell you all about all the new stuff that Boondox is offering. They're a company that's been around for, as long as I can remember. I seem to remember Boondox being around for kayak fishing, so they've been around for quite a while. Let's bring our guests on tonight. We have Jeff Little and Joshua Tatum. How you guys doing?
Good. How are y'all?
Good.
Doing good, man.
So Boondox, man. This is like one of those companies. I feel like they're almost like an OG of the kayak world, right? Because there's a lot of new companies that have kind of come into it, and Boondox has been around for a while.
Yep.
Give us a little history about like where they came from. I don't really know much about how they got into the kayak world.
So the Boondox is actually a company underneath a company called Bartimaeus by Design, which is metal fabrication of furniture parts in Thompsonville, North Carolina. So there's a lot of furniture manufacture has been in that part of North Carolina for a long time. And a gentleman by the name of Eddie Brinkley was a sales guy like myself, but he was a sales guy in the furniture industry, and decades ago recognized that his neighbors, his guys he went to church with, and people in his community were losing their jobs one after the other, like rapidly, to a lot of the basically to China. Everyone was outsourcing metal fabrication to China, and he felt a calling. He felt a need to purchase one of these old factories, and the factory that it's in is actually an old wood turning factory. So they did a lot of lathe work in there, but he bought this property and got metal workers, your machinists, your welders, anyone who was working with metal who had lost their job. He was getting them back to work. And his son Chad grew up with that being the family business, and went to North Carolina State to get his engineering degree, and was doing that to do the design work for Bartimaeus. And Chad's a kayak angler. Chad's a guy who likes to camp and likes to go fishing on the Outer Banks, and just he's an outdoor. He's one of us, and he's a kayak angler. And he, when he needed things, I think, even the T-bone, he had one that was breaking, and it was like, well, we can either fix this, weld it back together, or, hey, we got a pipe bender over here. Let's make one that's curved at the end so that it doesn't scrape when you take that sharp, descent down the driveway where it would grind and damage. So they made things, including landing gear. Landing gear is a big seller for us. Always has been. The wheels for the kayak, so that stow when you're on the water, but then deploy, and you can wheel it right out of the water and not have to wait there at the ramp. That is such a huge part of kayak fishing, is everyone trying to use the same ramp, and it's a real advantage to have the landing gear. But that's sort of the story. How Boondox got its start, and it does have Boone, North Carolina has some links to, even though Thompsonville isn't right there, but they're in that western part of North Carolina. And boondocking is kind of an older term. I think nowadays people say overlanding or truck camping. That's very much part of what Boondox is and where we're going. So yeah, there's kayak fishing, and that's, I think, how most people in kayak fishing know that we make metal rudders, and we make things like the firewall or the new canoe under seat tray or the console or all of these different kayak fishing accessories. But there's a lot of truck and trailer rigging stuff we're going to get into, and for sure they brought me on. I don't know. I think it was December of last year. I started with with Boondox full time. So
that's one of the things I noticed on their website, that they had a lot of stuff for truck camping or overlanding. I mean, there's a lot of names for the same thing: boondocking accessories.
Yep.
On their website, a lot more than I think I saw, like just like a year ago, maybe.
Right.
Seems like is that like a new direction for them, or is it just something that they're expanding on?
So I will say that there's a lot of new product development going on. A lot of, I mean, I've for sure. I'm really blessed. I actually moved from working for Torqeedo and got to do really cool stuff for Torqeedo, and now I get to do really cool stuff to develop for Boondox, and my life on the road. I think I'm up to 53,000 miles a year on just with 100. I think I'm up to 144 dealer visits. The ability to stop wherever you are and sleep in a rooftop tent or pull the drifter hammock out and just you're never tied to, okay, I have to sleep in this awful motel that's the only option in town that's going to give me fleas. It's nice to have good, clean options that you're in control of. But yeah, I mean, items like, and if I just did an install video with Christine Fisher like 2 weeks ago on the ruck rack, and everyone's like, "Oh, it's so cool! You're coming up with all this new stuff." The ruck rack's been around for a long time. It's an overlanding rack for the Tacoma, and it works with the Tundra. And I know Michael Goodyear, who works there, he's put it on one of his Nissan trucks. But those products have always, a lot of them have always been there. But one of the directions that we're moving in is to give people the building blocks to come up with their own whatever it is. If you want like 2 kayak bunks with the wheels on the end of it on a utility trailer with the metal rod box on the side, or the gear box, and then a rooftop tent, or however you want to configure, you can do a lot of custom stuff, because we're going to be selling that extrusion in something called a crosslink, which is basically Lincoln logs for the metal extrusion. So an extrusion is basically, if you think of any kayak that has metal track, that is an extrusion, right? The way that it's manufactured, it's I guess molten aluminum that's pressed through a bit, and as it comes out, whatever that bit is it's extruded in that shape. And one of the extrusion shapes that we have is the groovy extrusion, is what it's called. I guess they started calling it with the groovy landing gear and the T-bone that has it, but it's basically got track on all 4 sides. And we're making that available for people to build whatever it is they want to do. You want an overlanding rack for your truck? We're going to have like the clamps that go on the side of the truck that give you the crossbars, and from there you just build up whatever you want. So a lot of customizable options if we just give you the building blocks for the scaffolding of, hey, you want to build a kayak trailer, or you want to double decker your kayaks, one in the bed and one up top with a 8-foot, metal rod box, metal rod locker that holds 16 rods. Like, that's a new product as well, the Rod Pro. So
I think it's really cool that you guys are making stuff that's, how should I say this, not designed all the way out. Like, you're allowing people to come up with their own stuff, because most kayakers are DIYers, or a lot of us are. I know I am. A lot of times I just rather make it than buy something that's close to what I want. I would just rather make exactly what I want. And I think that's deep. A lot of companies don't do that. A lot of companies don't give you that option. They give you this and they're like, there's one way to put it on, and that's the way you got to do it, or it's not going to work right. We designed it so specifically for this one task.
Yeah.
Joshua, man, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and how Boondox affects you in your life?
Well, I mean, I started kayak fishing. Gosh, I'd probably say maybe about 7 years ago. Um, Started out just like everybody else, pretty much by a little Walmart boat, and just kind of progressed from there. Um, Got on the Westbrook Supply Co team a couple years later. After that, went down there and kind of put the work in and hung out at the shop with the guys, and was gracious enough that they brought me onto the team. And then got on the Boondox team. I want to say this is my second year with Boondox. We had Joe Kimyati came to me and asked me about being on the team because I had a Shoalie. I have a present Shoalie, and they were wanting to do a lot of content as far as putting the groovy landing gear on the Shoalie, which not a lot of people had done at that time. And so I was like, heck yeah, I'm game. And that's really kind of where it all started. And just with the progression that I've seen just in the past, you know, 2 years of being on the Boondox team, and they brought Jeff on, and seeing all the little videos and stuff that Jeff puts out with all the new products, it's got me, really thinking. And I got a 5x8 landscape trailer that I just keep adding to that list of stuff I want to put on that daggum trailer. So, but no, it's good, man. I love all the products. I mean, I've got the tailgater, the groovy landing gear on the Shoalie, and the console that I kind of modified myself to where I can easily move it from my Shoalie to any other boat that I have. So it's good, man. I love it.
And speaking of the console, that seems to be like a really hot product in kayak fishing right now is the consoles, right? And I was checking out your guys' consoles, and true to form, just like Jeff had said, man, it looks super adjustable. Like I could put it on almost any kayak, because some of the consoles,
Yep,
you can only put them on a Pro Angler, or you can only put them on a Jackson, or maybe two kayaks that are very close in width. But your guys, it looks like you can adjust the width however you need to, and kind of adjust the.
So I got a story. And the story is actually in a video I did earlier this year, but it really illustrates how maneuverable we are as a company that manufactures here. So we had the console and we were selling it, and you have the risers, which you have the flat risers, or there's angled risers, which are specific for the Hobie Pro Angler. It's the only model that we needed one different because the mounting surface is at an angle. But the console is something that you can put depth finders on. I really, honestly, what mine is used for more than anything, my Yak Attack leverage landing net sits on the left half. There is a lock and load base with a camera mount in the center. And then I have the two other new products. One is the hook hanger, which I can put the pliers and then hang some spinner baits or whatever on there. And then there's a rod stager to the right. So I have one rod stager to the right, which is my follow-up bait. I always have that Z-Man scented jerk shad ready to fire off. If I had a fish blow up on something, I throw that in there, he's going to eat it. Mine's pretty simple, at least for the river fishing. Yes, I definitely have a big Humminbird Solix on my Pro Angler with forward-facing sonar and the 360 imaging and everything on that rig. But my river rig is pretty simple, and it really does just it is a console, but it's out in front of me, away from me, and it just keeps all my stuff organized. But the story is, I was new there, and I went and did a rigging video on showing how to do it, and it wasn't slotted. It wasn't easy to install. I didn't like that there was no adjustability to it, and I made the install video, which you were drilling holes in the bottom, and it was a 3/8 bit that you had to get it just right. And I went down there, and I'm like, I got a rigging video, but I kind of want to see if we can change something here. What do you mean? Like, it should just be slotted. They're like, okay, we'll grab one of those, go up to talk to Abby in the machine shop, and she's gonna mill it out, and you test it and let me know how it works. I went up there. Abby understood what I needed and understood the diameter of milling it out. We did one. I took it down to my truck, put it on the, it was the Crescent Kayaks. I put it on a boat, and I was like, yes, this works. This is exactly what it needs to be. We changed the product right there. And then it was, okay, how many different kayaks can I put it on? But that right there, and the ability to just go upstairs and talk with Abby is the, the ability to not say, hey, we've ordered 1,000 of these and we got to sell through them before we make another purchase order to China. No, we just take what we've got, run them upstairs, problem solved. So that's what you get with American design, American manufacturing, and also a company that is into having people that use the product test it before it's released. And we've been doing a lot of that, for sure. Like even today, I did a product feature video on we have the Drifter hammock. Have you seen that, Kurt?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the hammock, if you're somewhere where there's no trees, which, again, goes back to Chad Brinkley, and they go to the beach and there's no trees on the beach. So we'd love to have a hammock here. They made this framed, looks like a big banana hammock. Did I say that? But this big crescent shape, tubular, you put it together in like 2 minutes and then you hang your hammock on it. I've been camping and sleeping in it, camping on islands in, the middle of the Juniata, and did one out in Missouri, and up at Erie. I did used Boondockers Welcome and stayed actually in someone's front yard because he was part of the network. But it needed a rain fly, and we just there is an upholstery division of Boondox down there. and I talk with the lady who sits at the sewing machine and makes the rain fly and the Drifter and the bag that it goes in. And there's another one that we came up with. It's called a dirt bag. I did a fun video with Jameson Redding on the dirt bag. But basically, it's a trash receptacle that sits on your tailgate. So think of a regular office-sized trash can, like a plastic trash can. It's that size, but it's got a canvas thing that just hangs there. And which is great for me because I love doing all the river cleanup. Like as soon as I get to a launch, I'm like picking up trash and cleaning. But all of that is, done in the upholstery department, which is like a room in Thompsonville, North Carolina, where it's, this isn't made in India or China or anywhere else. It's Thompsonville, North Carolina. So that is the overarching theme, though. We make it here. And, I'm proud of that. I think everyone at Boondox is proud of that. And that is, it's really the lifeblood of our American economy, is having us make stuff here. And we've lost so much of that. And that's the visionary of Eddie Brinkley, and Chad is, his son has done so much specifically with Boondox. They do things outside of camping and fishing and trucks, and they do a whole lot of stuff, but making stuff here is important.
It really is. And I'm someone who believes in American made products, and I'll spend more to purchase something made in the US. And that's something I feel like that's lost on a lot of people, because we get so caught up in our day-to-day lives and how to maximize how far our dollar goes, that you tend to buy cheaper stuff sometimes. But it doesn't always pay off. I feel like a lot of times the American made stuff is just better quality, better thought out. And like you said, you didn't have to sell through 1,000
mistakes
to get the next iteration. And then you make another small change and you got to sell another 1,000 ones that aren't quite what you want either. Right. And then that just goes on and on and on. And I see it. I see it a lot in the fishing industry, which I kind of wish I didn't. But you guys, that's where you guys are separating yourself from all that. And that's just something I don't even know how to put it into words, like how much I appreciate that.
We have good, we have great American manufacturing in kayak fishing for sure. Yak Attack makes all their stuff here. Catch makes great stuff. It's here. And a lot of our Crescent is here. There's so many different, especially in the Appalachian Southeast, like that's where so much of our plastic boats are made. So yeah, you definitely want to support that. And I think what's under attack though is this, hey, here's something that is selling well, and let's get it made overseas and undercut it on price, and maybe it's not as good. And it's this race towards, it's really a decision. Do you want better stuff, or do you want stuff that's almost as good, but it's really cheap, and then eventually it's just not as good? So, that's the choice. And unfortunately, so many Americans say, "Oh, I got it on Temu." You know what you just did? You just killed another American business by buying stuff on Temu.
Yep. And Jeff, here's another thing too. A lot of people don't think about this, is when you buy an American-made product, a lot of times their customer service is a lot better as well. Yeah. I live in Georgia, and so like Boondox is maybe like a 4-hour drive from me, which in the grand scheme of things, I drive 3.5 hours to the Flint River to go fish all the time. So, if I wanted to drive up there and pick something up, or, God forbid, you have a product that you get that, is a warranty issue or whatever. When you buy in America, it's a lot easier to talk to these companies and to let them show you how they can live up to the American-made name. I think that says a lot for sure.
It really does. It really does. And being able to pivot and make those adjustments quickly, it's just like it. And honestly, I think a lot of companies that do build overseas, they're going to struggle in the times to come, as our economy is changing quicker and quicker. People's needs are changing quicker and quicker, where American-made companies like Boondox, Kayak Attack, and all others and other industries as well are going to be able to make that pivot much quicker than when they have to deal with overseas entities where they have to wait just the lag time. My wife works in eyewear, right? And a lot of their stuff comes from Italy, China. It comes from all over the world, right? The eye world stuff. Some of it's here, some of it's not. It's just there's so many different products, but there's a huge lag time. People don't realize, man. When you hear about that old saying, the slow boat from China, that's real.
Yeah,
that's real.
I learned that with Torpedo when we were selling. That stuff's made in Germany and
which is closer.
But it's still,
it's still overseas.
In the best case scenario, that's still 5 weeks from we've released it to when it arrives and is unloaded in Chicago. So it makes a difference. So
with Boondox, man, a lot of us know about a lot of the kayak stuff. You guys have a lot of aluminum rudders. You have just a lot of accessories for kayaks, the center console stuff. Let's hear about some of the products that maybe us as anglers we don't know that Boondox does that we'd be interested in. Some of the overlanding stuff, or or anything else, man, that you?
So one of the new ones that's coming is that I've filmed a lot, and I've gone to the Kayak Adventure Series tournaments and cooked on this thing. And my son and I took a 4-day trip down to the Outer Banks and camped at one of the national seashores. It was actually the one at Frisco Beach, and did some surf fishing and went to Ocracoke, and just had a good 4 days. But we cooked everything on the Skedaddle. So the Skedaddle is part skillet, part kettle. If you imagine I tell you what it's actually made with. You ever see the tractors pulling the discs behind that tills the field?
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like something you'd want to cook on, but like you get a brand new one of those. It's a concave disc that's about I guess it's 2 feet across.
It's almost like a walk.
It is almost like a walk, and you put a propane heater underneath that, and it's got the legs that are actually the same extrusion as the console, are the 3 legs. And when my son and I were down on the Outer Banks, I did egg, ham, and cheese bagel breakfast, bagel sandwiches. I did corn on the cob in it. I've done chili in it a bunch. It seems like we did steak and eggs. We did eggs a lot. We did chicken fajitas. They were awesome. They were really good. But you can check out the video of that at the Boondox YouTube channel. So it's just Boondox USA. And I think the thumbnail for that video just says Camp Cook, and it has the stuff for the chicken fajitas right there, real pretty and colorful. So that's a product.
It comes with like the walk part and legs on it, and then
the legs kind of stow underneath, in between the platform that the propane burner is and the actual walk part, and it's got a cover that is kind of doubles as a tabletop. You can flip it over and use it as a cutting board. So a lot of different functionality in the same thing. But we also have, and this isn't anything I've filmed yet. I'm probably going to pick one up the next time I'm down in Thompsonville. It's basically, so I use this half size propane tank. It's a little mini one for cooking on the Skedaddle, and it'll be something that mounts it and locks it onto our gearboxes. So, or any overlanding rack. But the gearboxes, when you see plumbers or electricians or they have these toolboxes that are part of the body of it, think of that, except there are these boxes that are lockable that you can put on the sides of the truck bed rails, right? And I think on one side I put the torpedo motor and the paddle and the PFD and basically all the stuff that like gets wet and stinky, and you don't really want it in the cab of your truck. It puts it back there, and it's not just loose in your bed where it can rattle around or even get stolen. So those are the gearboxes. But
how big are those? How long are those?
So they're the right length that you can put them on every pickup truck except for like the Ford Maverick. I think is too small of a bed. There may be some other ones, but your standard, even the short beds, it'll fit on there. Chad actually has them on his Jeep pickup truck. What do you call that? The Jeep
Gladiator.
You know what I'm talking about? Yes.
Yeah,
on his Gladiator. So it fits there. And the nice thing is they're not model specific. So I have them on a Toyota Tundra, if 2 years from now I'm driving an F-150 or a Silverado or who knows what, I can move those over. Unlike some other storage options that are model specific, you can, you buy these and you're going to have them for whatever truck you got henceforth. So,
And how do those attach to the truck?
so there are these brackets that attach to the underside of like the lip of the rail, and then on the top you have the extrusion that you can actually then throw a kayak up there, or in my case, I have a rooftop tent up there. So
okay. Oh yeah. Now I know. I actually saw that video where you have them on the on the side of your truck.
So on my YouTube channel, which is the little stuff, there's a video. I think the thumbnail just says Boondox Battle Wagon, which is what I refer to the Toyota Tundra that I have everything on. And it doesn't have everything. I'd like to get the Rod Pro on there. I've had it on there, but then I put a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, that video goes through a lot of the truck and trailer rigging stuff, the stuff that I put on. Your check just dropped. It got heavy back there.
Hopefully it stays.
Right. So everything that I put on my truck is stuff that Josh is looking at it and saying, hey, I want to put that on a utility trailer, right? So it doesn't matter how you transport. If you're a truck guy or trailer guy, you can put it, or say you have an SUV and you want to get the Rod Pro. You can put that on the, if the SUV has a roof rack, you can put it on there as well.
Like Legos.
But I think, honestly, I think the Rod Pro is going to be the product that really goes.
So Josh,
goes crazy.
Says your what do you envision like your trailer looking like with Boondox stuff on it?
Josh, I'm gonna let you take that
one. So I've got it's made by Carry On. It was just like a $1,000 from Harbor Freight landscape trailer. I took the gate off of it, and then I just have 2 pieces of the union strap going across it. But I want to do the rug rack on it with the longer extrusion pieces on the top. I can put 2 boats side by side, and then 2 pieces of extrusion across the rails on the bottom side of the rug rack. So I can do 1 boat basically in the trailer, and then 2 up top. And probably, I think that the rod box,
So Josh, there's 2 different rod boxes, metal rod lockers. One is the rod tube, and it's just like the if you get the PVC pipe and that people do and put on their trailers, except it's metal, so more secure. So it's that size. Yeah. That gets you 6 rod and reel combos, and I've done up to 7, but I'm pretty happy with getting 6. You put 3 in reel first, and then 3 in tip first, and that works. But if you need more than 6, you jump up to the Rod Pro, and that's the video I just did with Christine a couple weeks ago, and that does 16. So lots of room. It's an 8-foot box, so you can get rods up to 8 feet in there, and it's shipped in 2 pieces. So for metal rod boxes, I've looked at the ones that are out there. There's some companies that make them out in California, and you just don't see any outside of California because they cost so much to ship. And that was the big hurdle that we had to clear, is to make it in 2 halves so that you can ship it. It's still an expensive item to ship, but it's not like crazy expensive, because shipping really looks at the length. Like the longer you go, the more expensive it gets. So, but yeah, we got a real good video that I tag teamed it with Christine Fisher a couple weeks ago, and shows how you put the Rod Pro together. I don't know, how many rods do you usually run with, Josh?
Well, I mean, it's not so much the way that I was is the Rod Pro beneath a kayak, and so I have a really, really small car. I have a Ford EcoSport, so it's just big enough to put me and one more fat dude in the passenger seat. We're touching shoulders, and it doesn't have a lot of room in it. So not only my thinking, not only could you do a couple of rods in there, you could do your paddle, you could do your camera pole, you could do, you know, anything like that. That's you know, and it's all everything's in there, and it's low, and it's not coming out. No one's stealing it, and it's most of all, it's not next to the car.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good thinking. You know, paddles and the power pole spike for sure. So,
I mean, so much of what we do, we need to keep stuff secure because we're going to. I mean, let's face it. If you're kayak fishing many tournaments, or even
you're going to some sketch places, you're going to end up in some sketch places.
Yeah, exactly, man. You're going some places that maybe people can't see, or they're out of the way, or
you might not have a catalytic converter when you get back.
Yeah. You know, I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, and you know, I fish between here and Dayton and here in Columbus a lot. And man, the boat launches have become like some of the most sketchy places you go anymore. I never have any problems, but it's just some of the people walking around. So it's not like you ever want to leave your paddle or anything just sitting in the back of your truck for any length of time.
I did a ramp camp recently. Right. So I was down in Southwest Virginia, which is part of the area that got rocked by the Hurricane Helene. A lot of it was Western North Carolina and Tennessee, but just north of that is Southwest Virginia. And I went and helped out Timmy Dixon with his river lot one of the days. And but the day before, I was kind of in the wind, and I was like, I'm going to find a top of some watershed to fish. And I did. I got some good smallmouth. I got one that was 20 by finding some clear water all the way at the top of a watershed. I think that is this coming Sunday's video, but it's I think I used the thumbnail as ramp camp. But I had registered at a wildlife management area to go up and camp in the wildlife management area. I couldn't get up there. There was a mud/rock slide that took out a power line and a bunch of trees, and I'm halfway up the mountain. I'm like, this is it. I got to back up. And I was like, well, I know where I'm going to launch tomorrow, so I'm just going to go to that ramp, and if they have an issue with me camping there, I can kind of be like, well, I couldn't go up there. And you know, I camped in the rooftop tent. That is another thing that we do, is we sell. So one of the things that I think it's one of the only things that we sell that is not made in the US are the James Baroud rooftop tents. And they're super premium, high dollar, but like some of the, you know, the best designs you get, I think they're Portuguese made. So really nice. I have the James Baroud Grand Raid, and I've slept in it. Actually 2 nights ago up on the Susquehanna, I was in it. So I'm in it a lot, you know. I will stop, even coming back from Kayak Adventure Series. I squeezed in another trip on the Wisconsin River before heading back. And the consequence of that is that I'm going to drive until I can't drive anymore. And I pulled in one of these, you know, tractor trailer, you know, rest stops, and just set up the rooftop tent there. I've stayed in the Lowe's parking lot west on 40 west of Knoxville. I've stayed so many different places, and I'm learning it. I'm learning where you can and can't, and I've yet to have someone, you know, bang on the side of my truck saying, get out of here. But I'm kind of pushing the envelope in places. So, but there's so much freedom that gives you. It's the same freedom I get with the drifters that, like, yeah, I'll go to a ramp and put in and motor up and fish and then camp on an island somewhere, and I'm right there ready to fish. The proximity to where you want to be in the morning and start fishing is so nice. Like, you get a lot of that time back. Whereas if you're at a hotel, a motel, or Airbnb, you got half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour drive to and from where you're going to be. It's nice to be right there.
And if you're a tournament angler, that's huge.
Yeah,
that's huge. Saving that 45 minutes in the morning can be massive. And let's take it one step farther, and let's just throw in Kentucky Lake. Man, I was doing an hour and a half drive before to go to my fishing spot from where we stayed in our Airbnb, and that wasn't even the farthest place you could have fished.
Right.
So something like that can save you a ton of time. Like,
and
you may
sleep.
still get the
It
house.
saves you sleep. You get to sleep more.
Yeah, you get to sleep more. And we all know how hard that is, man, tournament night, because a lot of guys are so worked up they can't go to sleep.
Yeah.
So if you can get an extra hour in the morning, that's just like massive.
Yeah.
Massive. And I hadn't thought of that, Jeff, until just now. And that's just like the light bulb is going off in my head. And I'm just like, wow, now I'm starting to see the rooftop tent deal. I didn't see it originally. I was like, well, it's convenient to have, but it could be a big advantage for tournaments. Man,
Well,
actually,
not only that.
Go ahead.
Like fun fishing and stuff, because I used to fish tournaments, but I really don't anymore just because of finances and stuff. But me and my fishing buddies and stuff, we like to get off of work like later on a Friday, and as soon as we get home, jump in the car and leave. And I like to fish the Flint River a lot. I like to fish the Ocmulgee River a lot, which is Ocmulgee is like 2 hours from me, and the Flint's like right at 3. And so just being able to drive down there and get down there like 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night, you didn't have to take a whole day off of work. You just post up in a WMA or wildlife management area that's right there on the river and get out of your car, maybe eat a bite, jump up in the tent, or throw the drifter out. And I mean, when you wake up the next morning, it's just like Jeff said, you don't have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning to drive 3 hours to fish for one day and then get off the river after being there for the whole day and drive another 3 hours back home. So it works out a lot better.
And that's kind of fun, man. You meet up with your buddies out there. Someone brings some food. You have a couple beers. You get to hang out for a little bit, and then you're right there early in the morning, daybreak. You're on the water, and that's a lot. That sounds a lot more enjoyable to me than getting up and driving 3 hours to be on the water. So
slowly we're picking apart different needs. We got gear security needs. No one's stealing our rods out of the bed of the truck, or our Torpedo. It's locked up in the gearbox, or whatever it is. So we have security needs. Then we have food needs, and to be able to cook on the skedaddle is awesome. It packs down pretty tight, and you got your propane, and we also have, and I haven't really touched on it, but a lot of Yeti specific products, Yeti Cooler, Yeti 65, that we make the Cool Lock, which is basically a platform that holds the Yeti Cooler. It's a trailer hitch, accessory. It goes in and you set the cooler on there, and then the cooler tug, which has the wheels on it, and you can wheel it around, take it off, and so you have your food stored there. But one need that, and I haven't gotten there yet, but it's in the works. I got to shower, man. I got to clean off my gear. I gotta have a water source and be able to take a spray nozzle out and rinse the salt water off my reels if I do a saltwater trip, or really just take a shower, man. And that's in the works. So imagine, the rod tube. If you've seen any of my videos of my truck, watch the Boondox Battle Wagon at the Little Stuff YouTube channel. I think I also put it on the Boondox YouTube channel. The rod tube is that 8-foot, rod tube that holds the fishing rods. But imagine that where you open the locked end of that. Inside, you don't find rods, but you find a coiled up spray nozzle, and you pull that out, and you could set that up to take a shower, or you can spray down your gear, and it's pressurized, and you got, say 10 gallons of water that you can do whatever it is that you need to do when you're boondocking, when you're out remote, and you don't have to do what I've been doing with the Planet Fitness membership is to, stop in at whatever Planet Fitness and go in and get a shower while I'm on the road. I've done that a lot this year. So, but I don't have to go into town to do that. I can just take care of it right there. So that's another thing that's layering in. Especially
for the saltwater guys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so much of their time is spent like rinsing off the reels and rinsing off their drives because you can't have that salt water, you don't want to leave that salt water sitting on those mechanical parts at all.
So forever, I've just used one of those, those cheap like pesticide applicator for the reels, but it's limited. Like it's I don't know, is it a gallon? But to have 8 or 10 gallons it's pressurized in ready to use with a nice spray nozzle. It's another product that's coming, and really it's all of these are coming about. I live on the road. I'm on the road a lot. 53,000 miles so far this year. Way more than I did with Torquedo, believe it or not. But Chad's also he's the brain trust of like, okay, how can we solve this problem next? He's the designer, and he's designing things that he wants. And I may throw some ideas out there and say, hey, what about this, and do that. And some of the new products are my ideas, but like, I'll go back down there to Thompsonville, and he's like, I got something to show you. And it's always fun that it's like, okay, cool. What have you been working on that I don't know? And then it turns into, the Instagram reels you see of me out there doing it, or the YouTube videos, or I put the videos out on Facebook too. So,
and it's always nice when the designer is like the end user as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
That changes things.
It does.
You get a far superior product every time. Yep. I believe.
Yep. So he actually, I missed out on it because I was at the Kayak Adventure Series season finale in Kentucky. But Chad and his son went to it was Overland East. So it's an overland expo. So overlanding is boondocking, is truck camping, but it's with an off-roading sort of component. Like there's something, built in that is, you have that off-roading component to it. And I think there's a lot of the tools that overlanding use that we're developing, right? As far as rigging and what problems you're solving with the products that we're manufacturing in Thompsonville. But there's so much, there's so much application outside of, hey, I just want to go mudding. And I know I just simplified overlanding because it is crazy. I don't know if you have my overlanding YouTube videos you watch, but it's awesome. Like it's really cool. And he does that. He does that especially in North Carolina with his sons. And so he's part of that world. But I'm not, like, I don't want to rock crawl or take the tundra through a big mud puddle or whatever. I just want to fish. I don't want to go to cool places. And I think being able to bridge that gap from overlanding to other applications. Michael Goodyear, who's he's one of the employees there on the shop floor. he puts all of his hunting gear in it. So there's hunting application, fishing, kayak fishing. I don't know. Like, we're developing these things, and who's to say, what activity people are going to use them for. But it's truck and trailer rigging is a lot of our, the direction that we're moving in. So Josh, it'll be fun to plan. I might want to tag team and make a video with you of your rig. That'd be cool to come down and hang out and, tell your story of what you want on there, and might have to do that this winter.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm planning it, so it should be, once I get done with it, it should be pretty sweet setup. And the funny thing is like the reason that I got the trailer, well, I don't have a truck and I don't have to haul anything with, so I can get this utility trailer and make it where I can haul stuff with it if I want to, and also kayaks. And the more I think about it, I'm just like, yeah, it's never going to get used for anything else.
So I got an idea on that, and the concept of, like, yes, there'll be people that build designated kayak trailers and use these extrusions and cross links and yak bunk wheels and flat links and just all of the different building products to make the scaffolding, the framework, and then you add all that stuff. There'll be people that make it, and that's all that you're ever going to use for it. I like your idea of, hey, this is a utility trailer, and if I want to pull everything off and ride my side-by-side up on there, or maybe I gotta, hey,
haul a refrigerator.
Grandma's lawnmower is out, so I got to take mine over there and take care of grandma. Whatever it is, I like that idea. I had an idea, and I don't know if it would work, but if we can get the knuckles for the Boondox landing gear and incorporate that into it, and then you lift one end of it, stick the landing gear legs off there, and you're like one man just rolling that thing off of the utility trailer. I don't know if that'll work or not, but that's the sort of creativity that we're hoping to facilitate in people, dreaming of what they would have their, truck or trailer look like, what components they want to add to it, and come up with their own creative, solution for what they do. You think that would work? Putting the landing gear wheels on it and rolling it off a utility trailer?
I really like that idea. It's kind of be like a removable pod per se, that you could like back the trailer in and park it, take a couple bolts off, drop wheels, and just underneath it or roll it out. That's actually a really good idea.
The thing we're going to have to figure out is how you're securing it, though, because you're not going to necessarily bolt it on, or maybe you will, but that's the one kind of hurdle that we gotta figure out. And maybe I put that to Chad Brinkley and say, hey, what can we do security wise for this removable, scaffolding of for the utility trailer, builder? How do we make it so you can undo a few things and then it comes off? So it'll be a fun project. For sure.
The way that I've got the uni strut like across as crossbars to set the kayaks on is I drilled a hole, like 4 holes in the rail of the trailer, and then used a big washer, a carriage bolt, and a wing nut that's got like a locking nut inside of it. And
Gotcha.
So it's like a big plastic wing nut that will run right up on the other side of the trailer rail. And I mean, I've put hundreds of miles on that trailer, and every time I check them, they're not loose. So,
nice.
I mean, something like that might work, or whatever. I have all these. I'm like Chad, except I can't put what's in here to paper. It just stays in here, and I think about it, but I can't draw it. So
I'm the same way. I can make stuff with my hands that I'm thinking about, but to try to have me like facilitate it into words or even sometimes draw it. I'm like have like a mental block, but I'm like, I can just give me the pieces, man. I'll bolt it together. I can make it, but I can't tell you like exactly how. I got a machinist friend, and sometimes he helps me out with my small project, and he wants to strangle me sometimes because I'm like trying to.
Yep.
Well,
it's like going to Ace Hardware. It's like you got an idea in your head. So
we're gonna have to sketch some of it out, Josh, just to make a shopping list. So I will say if you're looking at the website right now, there's so many new pieces that will say that you can pre-order or not in stock. Like all of this is coming so quickly and is so new. We are in process right now, and a lot of that stuff are things that I said, hey, just get it up there, and we're gonna, we'll have it for pre-sale. And really, what that means is that Boondox has put the purchase order through Bartimaeus, and there's a chronological order of, all right, this is what's next, and it takes some time to get that stuff ready. But like there's so much stuff that especially for the truck and trailer rigging, that is in process right now. So
yeah,
lots of new stuff coming between now and the end of the year for sure.
So I like hearing, man. I like hearing new ideas coming out, new products coming out.
Yeah,
because things are changing fast in the kayak fishing world. I mean, just look a few years ago, motors were maybe a third of the people out there, and now it's probably 90% of the people out there. Yep. I mean, things are changing fast, Fish finder setups. Who would have thought we'd be seeing people with two 12-inch screens on their fish finder on their kayaks, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago? I mean, even me, I was always like, 7-inch units enough. And now I got a 10 and a 9 on my kayak, and I'm still thinking like, man, 12 would have been nice. So things are just changing so fast. So, I mean, you guys are going to continue to come out with new stuff constantly. This is going to be cool. It already is. Guys, I've taken up about an hour of your time. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I'll give you guys both a chance to thank anybody who you want to thank, your wife, family, sponsors, whoever. Jeff, you want to start?
Sure. I got a handful of sponsors, but like none is more important than my employer, Boondox, obviously. I have a YouTube channel where I cover all sorts of things from rigging. I'm actually working on a video. We were talking about it before, rigging the 7-inch scented jerk shad with a stinger hook, which has quadrupled my catch rate. That video is coming up, but Z-Man takes care of me pretty good. Batson Enterprises, which makes Rain Shadow. They make a lot of components for a lot of different rod manufacturers, and they supply rod building supplies to so many different custom builders across the continent. And I love my Judge blanks for the power fishing presentation, and the Eternity RX10 is the most sensitive blank I've ever had, and I've had some really good ones. Those are the main ones. And for sure, if you haven't subscribed to the little stuff on YouTube and Instagram, it's Jeff Little Kayak Fishing.
Awesome. Hey, Joshua, how about you?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, definitely thank you to Boondox for bringing me on the team, and kind of giving me a chance to show what little I can do as far as content creation and just pushing the products that I like to use. And
Josh is being humble. Josh is one of our he cranks out the content pretty good, and it's appreciated, and it's why I've asked. When Kurt said, "Hey, who can we get?" I said, "Let's get Josh on."
Well, where can they find you, Josh? Where can they find your social media stuff, man? Your content.
I do a lot on Facebook, which is just Joshua Tatum, and then my Instagram, I believe, it's either Tatum Josh 90 or JT Fishing. I do a lot of short, just quick, like little, people call them reels or whatever, but I mean, just little short things here and there, just kind of showcasing, what I got on my boat. I'm, like I said, Boondox. Westbrook Supply Co is really big. Like I said they were first for me, and I'd say without Westbrook, none of the other ones would have happened. So I'm really thankful to Fletch and Mikey there for keeping me on and letting me be part of that team too. So but yeah.
Well, that's awesome, guys, man. I hope this is enlightened some people to what Boondox has to offer, because obviously their offerings go way beyond what the kayak fishing stuff and what, for years, I just kind of thought of you guys as like the landing gear guys and the rudder guys, but obviously it's so much beyond there. When I was looking at your website, I was actually shocked by like just how much was on there today. And it seems like I looked at it not too long ago and there wasn't as much. So if you haven't looked, take a look at boondox.com. Check out Joshua, check out Jeff online. Both these guys have tons of knowledge. I'm sure either one of them will answer any questions anyone may have. Guys, thanks a lot for coming on again. And everybody, we'll see you all next week.
Thanks, Kurt.
See ya.